Well, got it. All right. Just still letting people in to our event. And we are live on Facebook as well. Okay. And we are recording. Okay, I'm still letting people in, so we will begin very shortly. Forgive us for the quiet as we let everybody in. Okay. Everybody hear me well? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So forgive me as I be doing double duty of explaining things to you and probably still letting people in, but welcome. Good afternoon. I am Rhonda Giratani, your host and facilitator today. I'm the founder of the Women Entrepreneurs Network and Sugar Me Sweet events. Today, I bring you the third annual International Women's Day presentation of Break the Bias. And this year, our expert talk is to bring together 3 superstar entrepreneurs to discuss how empowered women in social media empower women to rise up, and how women can achieve an equal future in a COVID-19 world. During this 90-minute expert talk, you will learn about attracting motivated prospects, social media ads, learn marketing and development of your business, and at the end, we will host a Q&A session with each of the panelists. So during the discussion, if you think you have a question, go ahead and put in the chat. We're going to request that you put, like, to begin your question, a capital Q, and who your question should be addressed to. That will just help things run a little bit more smoothly as we get to the Q&A portion. So again, that's before you type your question. If you could just put a capital Q and who the question is for, and then your question. Thank you, appreciate that. This event is being recorded and will be available for replay on the Women Entrepreneurs Network website, wennorthshore.com, within 24 hours. We ask that you please put your phones on silent as we begin our event. All right, so I'm going to introduce you to our ladies and get them involved and start asking questions. All right, so we're going to move along to a series of questions specific to International Women's Day, and also on, obviously, they and their questions right now. So first up is Charlene Tessier. Charlene, put your hand up. Yay. All right, Charlene, we are going to spotlight you for a moment. All right, Charlene, you're spotlighted. So Charlene, I'd like to introduce you to Charlene Tessier. She's a Canadian living in Germany who was able to turn a failing online business into a thriving success by using a combination of 2 underutilized tools, LinkedIn and Livestream. Today, she's going to share with us how to attract motivated prospects into you're using your business through one or both of these tools. So Charlene, tell us about Strength in Numbers and how you got started in social media.
Well, I've actually been using LinkedIn very early on in the early days, I think early 2000s, when it was kind of starting up, and it was actually just like a glorified resume. And over time, I really kind of got more into LinkedIn because I found that that's where my prospects were, and I was able to get a lot of traction, especially in the last 18 months to 2 years, with live streaming. That has been sort of the biggest change I've seen, that I'm able to get a lot more reach and attract a lot more prospects because I'm able to live stream and really build a connection through video that I wasn't able to do so before.
Excellent. All right. And why did you choose to get started with video and live streaming specifically? Like, what really attracted to you to LinkedIn and doing that?
Well, actually, it was when COVID kind of hit, then, video became really kind of the norm. And I also felt that video is a really easy way to just build a very personal connection with people. If done right, you can really speak to a single person, even though it's sort of a one-to-many tool. It can be delivered in a manner that's very personal. And I've noticed that by doing that, a lot of people who end up reaching out to me say to me, oh, I've been watching all your live streams. It's just like you're speaking right to me. So I know that it works, and I know that it really builds a personal connection with people.
Awesome. All right. And what's the biggest mistake people make with live streaming?
I would say the biggest mistake that people make with live streaming is actually not being prepared. So they often just decide, I'm going to go live, and then they'll just ramble for 10-15 minutes with not really very clear kind of direction of the message or point that they want to get across to the audience. And they feel that's totally fine, but actually it's kind of a missed opportunity, because if you do that time and time again, every time your audience sees your live stream, after a few of your live streams, they'll feel that, well, it's kind of just you rambling on and it's not really delivering value to me. And if you plan out your streams, even just planning out the simple points that you have, then you will always deliver a very concise message and value to your audience. And then they will actually be really interested to watch every time they see you on their feed.
Yeah, I've watched your Strength in Numbers broadcast on LinkedIn, and it is very interesting. You hit upon a lot of great topics. So thank you for that. So I have a question. Do you think we need to be on every social media platform? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Actually, I'm quite sure that Kennette and Crystal will also say this as well, but I really believe that you should be on the platform where you believe your audience lives. And wherever that is, it's actually better to be in one and just double down there and really be a rock star there. It's very difficult, especially as a solopreneur, or only even me. I have a small team to manage so many platforms, and every platform is actually very different in the way they operate and how to attract your client there. And so trying to be an expert across all of them is extremely difficult, and I feel not as effective. So I suggest you pick the platform that's the best for you and that's going to really attract where your audience is going to be living.
Okay, now I think I know the answer to this question, but what is your preferred platform of choice?
Well, mine is LinkedIn for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That just happens to be the place I'm just the most comfortable with. And I'm not saying that my client isn't on Facebook or on Instagram. They definitely could be. It's just I happen to really enjoy the platform of LinkedIn, and I also feel that's one of the factors we tend to not think about. We tend to choose the platform that everybody says you have to be on. So a lot of people say, like, shouldn't I be on Instagram TV, or should I be on Twitter? And I used to be on Twitter and I hated it every single day. If you hate being there, don't be there. Be in the
Right.
place you like being. Otherwise, you're never going to really enjoy it anyways. So that's one of the main things that people don't think about.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. So how important is targeting your ideal audience?
Well, that's the main thing that I really focus on with my live streams, is that with video and even copywriting, or when you're putting out posts, having a very clear niche and really talking to the person who you want to attract will actually attract more people, rather than trying to talk to the many, which we all feel that, oh, I have to address everybody because I'll get more. But in fact, talking to a single person will actually deliver a bigger impact. And so having that targeted niche is really, really critical for that.
Okay. Now, Charlene, tell us, in your own words, a little bit about yourself and your business so everybody gets a good picture of you and what you do.
Oh, okay. Well, as you said in my bio there, I am helping entrepreneurs to attract motivated prospects to their business using LinkedIn and live streaming. And I really help with essentially the top of funnel, sort of bringing in and attracting your clients to you through LinkedIn. And my main goal isn't to just build up a big following. You'll notice I don't actually have a very large following on LinkedIn, and I do have quite a few connections, but and I do put out content, but my whole goal really is to drive them into your business, into the free gift, so that you can start having more touch points with them, into a direct message so you can start having a conversation with them. And that's really the key, because in the end, at the end of the day, you can have 10,000 followers, but if you don't get one direct message to sale, then you're not doing it right, to be honest. And so you don't need a really big following. I don't have a very big following, and I have at least one direct message to sale every month. And that's because I speak to the one and not to the many.
That is really amazing. Okay. And how would you suggest that how can you break into doing LinkedIn live streaming?
Well, the first thing I would really recommend is actually to look at your profile, and underneath your LinkedIn profile, you have a little headline, a few, I don't know, 2 sentences about yourself, and also your banner that is above. I would actually start, before you even start creating content, whether it be live streaming or just posting, is to really focus on having a very clear message as to who do you serve and how do you serve them, and not have the old school resume like I am the CEO of XYZ company, which really doesn't tell anybody anything about what you really do. And so having that clear message is very important, because your LinkedIn profile page is just like your website, and it's where all the people go when they see your content, when they look at your comments, when they decide that they're going to possibly do business with you. If they go to your LinkedIn page and it's incomplete, or it doesn't really attract them in any way, they just bounce right off. And so you've lost your opportunity there to actually possibly capture them in some way. So first, focusing on getting your LinkedIn page, just really the headline and the banner, to call out to the person who you really want to serve and how you want to serve them. And then for live streaming, I would say start doing it. Really, decide on a few one live stream a week, decide on a topic that you want to talk about, and just talk about one tip. That's all you really need. It doesn't have to be overly complex.
Excellent. Thank you, Charlene. And one last thing, you happened to mention about a free gift. So why don't we let the members know here what you're going to be offering?
Yeah. So I have a surefire 5-step process to get you accepted into LinkedIn live streaming. And it's not very hard, but you do need to meet some criteria and to get a few things set up. And so I have a little 5-step worksheet to help you do that really quickly and easily. And
Excellent.
I guess Rhonda will drop it into the chat, or I'm not sure where it's going to be delivered.
Sure. I'm actually going to, after this call, send everybody out an email. So you'll be on the watch for an email from us that will have all 3 people's gifts that will come out to you. So thank you, Charlene. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. And we're going to have question and answering for Charlene later. And we've got some more questions pertaining to the Break the Bias theme. So right now we are going to switch and ask some questions of Crystal Cherry Colson. Crystal is a WEN member, and she is a mom with 2 daughters living in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and was able to switch from developing websites and setting up back-end systems, automation and funnels, to Facebook and Instagram ads after noticing that there was a lot of confusion among small businesses on how to properly use them. Welcome, Crystal.
Thank you, Rhonda, for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. We're excited to have you. Today, Crystal is going to tell us about how great Facebook and Instagrams are for scaling your business. So, Crystal, what can I do to get my Facebook business page more views? We all want to know this question, the answer to this question.
Yes, if I had $1 for every time someone, when they hear that I do ads, and the first question is, well, my content isn't getting that much visibility, because really that's what you're asking me, right? Is how do you get more visibility to your Facebook page? So there's 2 ways that you can handle this. One is with your organic content, which I'm not going to touch on that much, because while I do believe they impact and they can help your ads, that in itself is a completely different topic. But when we're talking about Facebook ads and really getting that visibility to your business page, what you really want to do is put out content that is going to promote engagement. So, well, let me ask you, Rhonda. So when you say that you want to get visibility and get more views on your profile, what type of content are you trying to get more visibility for?
I would say a lot of time it's on events, because I run a lot of events.
Okay, so when we're talking about using paid advertising for events. Those are type of things where you're definitely going to want to focus on engagement. And engagement campaigns are the type of ads that are going to focus on getting likes, comments, and shares, things of that nature. So what you can do in that case, if you have content on your page that is not getting visibility, and is something that you really want to get in front of your followers and maybe even potential followers, I'm a big advocate for putting a little bit of ad spend behind that so that you can get the visibility and traction that you're looking for. Because the reality is, for Facebook pages, only about 5% of your content is actually being seen by your followers. So even if, yes, it's absurd, which is why so many people have this problem, because Facebook is really built around community, so they don't want to disrupt that experience for their users. So that's when paid advertising comes in handy for getting you that extra visibility.
Okay, so then that leads me to ask you, how can my members utilize Facebook ads to grow their business and grow their list, which is huge, right? Everybody wants to grow their email list.
Right. So the first thing, before you put any money into ads for building your list, the first thing I have my clients take a look at is, okay, so once you get somebody onto your email list, what happens next? Because there's also always that question of what happens next after you get the lead. So are you going to nurture them? Do you have the proper systems and funnels set up to handle that influx of leads that you're going to get? Because the ads themselves, they will get you traffic and they will get you leads, but it's what you do with those new visitors, what you do with those new leads is what's ultimately going to get the sale. So I do think Facebook ads are great for lead generation, especially if you have some type of process set up on the back end to nurture that lead and get them through that customer journey so that they eventually down the road become a customer or client. So that can be email nurture sequence, that can be sending them to Messenger, whatever works for your business. So I like to tailor the ad strategy based on how you do business. So if you don't have an email nurture sequence set up, but you do nurture your leads in another way, well, let's talk about how you're doing that so that we can fit the ad strategy and make sure that when you get those leads, that they are going through that journey that you have set up for them and that is actually working for you.
Okay, awesome. So how can entrepreneurs confidently invest in ads and know that they're being smart about where to spend their money, because there is so many different ways to run ads?
So there's a few different things here. The one thing that I always start with is get clear on your goal. Because the reality is there's so much you can do with ads. Like even in the short time that we've been talking here, we've talked about getting visibility with ads, and we've talked about lead generation with ads, and we haven't even gotten into promoting products or doing ads specific to reminding people to go back and buy your offer or service or thing that you're promoting. So get clear on what it is that you ultimately want to achieve. Do you want to increase sales of a specific product? Do you want to build up your email list? Are you trying to build awareness of your brand? Maybe you want to key in on nurturing. So once you have clarity in that goal versus, well, I just want to make more money, because don't we all, but that doesn't really say what we're trying to do with the ads. Right. Once you have that clarity in the goal, it sets the foundation for the next step in coming up with a strategy that is going to work for you. The second thing that you'll want to do is pay attention to who you want to attract. And this is a very big one. And it actually goes a little bit back to the question that you asked Charlene a little while ago about knowing your ideal client. Mm-hmm. The internet is a noisy place. We all know that. And especially even within Facebook, there's a lot of things competing for attention. So even when you're spending money to get that extra exposure, you want to make sure that your ad content and what you're putting out there is something that your ideal customer is going to have some interest in, that they're going to want to read and then tap or click and take that next step. So the clearer that you can be on who you work with and who you want to attract is the better. Don't make it vanilla, generic. Oh, well, I just want to attract business owners. I just want to, the more specific you can be, the better, and it's going to help you in the long run. So those are in order to do it confidently, one, just be clear on your goal, and then make sure that you really understand your customer and client, because those are going to be the basis of your strategy, the basis of your messaging, the ads themselves. So everything else in order for everything else to fall into place, those two things are very key.
Okay, I totally agree with that. And one thing you were mentioning there was the whole part about what I heard was figure out your niche.
Yes.
Right. And that's who
Yes.
you need to go. Yeah. And that's who you need to go to.
Well, and I would say it's even a step further than figuring out your niche. Like you can have an idea of who you serve, but one of the things that I walk my clients through in building customer profiles when we're going to do ads is that we take it further than that, because most of my clients know their niche, but we need to understand for the specific problem that you're solving, where is that customer in the process? Are they aware of the problem? Or are they completely oblivious? Are they oblivious? Are they aware? Or are they ready to take the next step? Because the messaging that you use between those three is going to be slightly different. So even from that, what are they reading? Where are they hanging out? What are they interested in? And go deeper than just the things that you would normally think of. So yes, you want to understand your niche, but this is really an opportunity to really get to know your ideal customer, and so that when they come across you, that they feel that they can, they understand that you get them and you relate to them, and then you can really better attract the right people.
Awesome. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And just like we did with Charlene, why don't you let people know quickly what your offer is? I understand it's a goodie bag.
Yes, so I put together a Facebook goodie bag for you all with 3 different resources to help you, whether you are doing the ads on your own or you're looking to partner with an ad strategist. So in this goodie bag, you will get the ad campaign cheat sheet, which will help you figure out the type of ad campaign to run based on your goal. There is also a quiz to take on whether or not you're ready to scale with Facebook ads, and then an opportunity for us to talk one-on-one. This is a free, no obligation call about whether or not you're ready to scale with ads.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate it. We are going to move along to Kennette. All right, I'm excited to introduce you to Kennette J. Burgess, an award-winning Bermudian entrepreneur based in North Carolina, who is passionate about coaching minority and female entrepreneurs to become market leaders with their business focus, marketing, and development solutions. Welcome, Kennette. Now,
Hi,
Kennette,
Rhonda.
Today,
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Today, she's going to share with us how to break the bias by creating your own space through entrepreneurship to secure your own equal future. So, Kennette, tell us, how did you get started with focus marketing, and what advice do you have for new entrepreneurs? Let's just get right into that and learn about you a bit more.
Yes, so thank you for having me again, and Crystal and Charlene, love it. Thank you, ladies. Excellent. So, Focus Marketing Development Solutions was a lifelong, vision of mine. I started in 2017, and it was part-time, right? It was part-time. I was working my full-time job in North Carolina, been there for 10 years. And then COVID came in 2020, right? And it took a turn for everyone. And, in 2020, my clientele blossomed because a lot of women and minorities and just people in general, right, wanted to start their businesses because things were happening, right? People were getting crazy in the workplace, and, with the whole, take this, don't take this, whatever. So my clientele pretty much tripled, and I launched full focus marketing full time, right, in 2020. So I'm doing it now for over a year, and our focus is definitely on creating market leaders, creating them or growing them so they can reach their full potential. Rhonda, I think you're muted.
See, I was trying to be good and quiet. Too good and quiet. Thank you for that. So I was asking, do you think entrepreneurs can confidently grow or even start a business during this pandemic?
Of course. And, that's most of my clientele, right? I would say probably about 50%. A lot of my clients that were there with me from 2017 are still with me, because I taught principles for them to continue their business, sustainability, right? We did that pre-COVID, right? That's one of my focuses, is to make sure they have that. And then for my clients that I'm on board now, right, from 2020 on and beyond, my focus has always been on sustainability, helping them to prepare for the unexpected, right? We do everything from strategic plans, marketing plans, development, SWOT analysis, everything to make sure that the business is going to be viable, not just for now, but for what's to come. And one thing, Rhonda, that's a great question, because who knew about COVID, right, in 2020? And a lot of my clients were able to, actually, none of them were closed down, right, as a result of COVID. And that's something I could think I could pat myself on the back for, because I'm like, thank you, clients, for listening to me, right? Everyone's, for my clients, from whether you had a healthcare business, of course, that remained viable, but then again, some practices closed down and they couldn't treat people in person, though they were scared. Well, my clients did telehealth, things like that, where they went on virtual visits. My church, one of my biggest pro bono clients, right, they will continue to serve through the pandemic, because guess what? We optimize live streaming, what Charlene teaches and whatnot, right? We were doing live streaming since before time, and we practiced what we preached. We perfected it. So when COVID hit, guess what? We never lost the service. We will continue to able to serve and give the word of God. So, I believe that everyone, when you get to focus, for sure, the principles that we teach, it's based upon marketing, strategic marketing, Rhonda, and development. That means that we're going to set your a sound foundation from day one, which means in your first year, you can be successful. I have not had a client to this day that has not made a profit in their first year and had to have closed down or whatnot. If they listen to me, we go through the process, they're going to be successful, because I practice what I preach, and I've been doing this for a while, even before I started my business as a consultant for over 18 years.
Yeah, something else that we should share with you too is that you also do logos, which I loved your focus logo, which I think is beautiful.
Thank you.
And you also have a nonprofit?
Yeah, so I have a bunch. I sit on the board of pretty much a lot of different nonprofits and the board, and help with marketing and what. And my church nonprofit, a couple of them. I'm on the board of some nonprofits when it comes down to building schools focused on STEM, right? And students. And also, I just was on the board for over 10 years and a marketing director for a local North Carolina. Thank you so much, Patricia, for a local North Carolina nonprofit called Empower Girls of North Carolina. For 10 years, I developed their logo. We revamped, we rebranded, we grew the organization to what it is today. So yes, Rhonda, community service is my foundation. I could dedicate that to, because of my upbringing with my parents, right, with my grandparents, that, people help me in the community, so it's my responsibility to give back. So that's not a question. Yes,
that's awesome. And speaking about entrepreneurs and how many of us do so many different businesses, especially during COVID. You couldn't talk to a woman who didn't at least have two businesses going at the same time. I understand that you also do clothing. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. Yes, and so Focus Marketing Development Solution. It's a strategic marketing and design firm, and this is if you would have asked me probably 5 years ago, Kennette, will you have a clothing line, I would have said no. I actually had a client, Rhonda, that asked me to have a clothing line because I was helping them. And I was like, no, that's not something, that I want to do. And I'm a person, like I said, I'm very spiritual grounded. So I only move when God tells me to move, right? So I think 2 years ago is when I started Distinct Apparel, and it's my design, it's my clothing design wing under Focus Marketing, right? So the opportunity came up. He said move, I did it, and it's been a blessing ever since. I'm selling my clothing in the airport in Bermuda. Like, wow, I've only been around for a few years, and I'm already got one of the top clients at the airport, and it's doing great. When in COVID, when people weren't traveling as much, we were still doing great. So I'm pleased that people love my designs. And again, I'm all about empowerment, Rhonda, right? Yeah. I'm an empowerment specialist when it comes down to that. When it comes down to children, empowering females, empowering entrepreneurs, that's what I'm about. So my brand, Distinct Apparel, is also about empowerment as well.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So why don't you also tell people about what your free gift is for the members who attend today?
All right. So for those of you who are entrepreneurs already and are looking to scale your business, right, grow it. Some of us have dreams to become, to retire early, right, or to make that money so they can travel around the world. Come visit us in Bermuda, what have you. Or for those of you who are not entrepreneurs yet, right, who are looking to become entrepreneurs, so you can reach the same goals and dreams that you have, send your children off to college or what have you. I have a plan for you with Focus Marketing. That first you start with a free consultation, right, with me, so we can find out. You can have any questions you have for me. We can find out what are your challenges, what are your business needs, what are your marketing needs. Because I'm not only a strategic marketer, I'm also a business coach, right? So it starts off with the free consultation, and then everyone on here, right, courtesy of Rhonda, you will get 10% off, right? 10% off on whatever you need, whether you need a website, whether you need a logo, whether you need a business plan, a strategic marketing plan, maybe you're launching a campaign. I'm also a product launch specialist, right? I've been launching products all over the world for like 10 years, right? At least. So if you like, hey, Kennette, I'm an inventor, I have this new product that helps me to right? And you want to launch, I can also help with that as well. So when it comes down, you can go to my website, getwithfocus.com, and all of my services. The deal is, if you go there, you get a free start with a free consultation, and then you can get 10% off on whatever service that you choose, or product or service that you choose. You can thank Rhonda.
Thank you, Kennette. I really appreciate that. I'm going to put us into gallery view. So we are going to transition here. We are now going to move along to a series of questions specific to the International Women's Day theme of Break the Bias. So, and just to give a little bit of insight, right? So even among the best intended people, unconscious bias can exist. So how do you think we can identify these biases? And is it possible to overcome them? I think we all understand that some biases are learned at a young age. I think even a child that's 4, 5, and 6 years old understands stereotypes. They start to learn it because they're watching it. To various groups, and things like, kids see or learn that, moms are kind and gentle and nurturing, where men are supposed to be strong and told not to be emotional. So our first question is going to go to Charlene. When you hear break the bias, what does it mean to you, and how do you do so with your business?
For me, breaking the bias means just being more aware and open of, like you were saying, that these biases exist consciously or unconsciously, and just trying to be more aware of them. And the second part was about how it is for how to break the bias for my business.
What does it mean to you, and how do you do so in your own business? How do you break the bias in your business?
Yes. So for me, the way I really kind of combat that is LinkedIn is kind of seen as a very conservative and actually still very dominant, male, white dominant, heavy platform, I would say. And I think my approach to LinkedIn, which many people have said is very, very different. It's much more personal. It's less kind of this very corporate, conservative kind of approach. It's much more personable. And I think by having video, it starts to showcase, different types of people, women, different ethnic groups. And I think it starts to hopefully change the face of the platform by having more diversity there.
Yeah, I think most sites like that, especially I would imagine LinkedIn, would be more of a male dominated business person environment. And I think having you there on a consistent basis, live streaming specifically, is really empowering, right? Because you are there, you're the face of the screen for a period of time. And, you know, you've been, how long have you been doing that again?
I
On
think
the,
it's 2
yeah,
years now.
2
Actually.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've created quite a presence during this time. So
Yeah.
thank you. I think that's wonderful. All right. Kennette, how has COVID changed how you run your business?
As I said earlier, it kind of shifted it to be more so 100% virtual. Before COVID, when I was a consultant, when I started 2017, I had in-person clients I would go to see. We'll meet at Panera Bread, or we'll meet at their office, or they'll come to mine, whatever have you. And then when COVID hit, people were like, no, let's do virtual, right? Another thing, Rhonda, I found very interesting is before COVID, a lot of people were a little hesitant about virtual, because I'm a virtual marketing consultant, right? And they were a little hesitant. They were like, oh no, I want a marketing consultant that's, they can sit next to me. And I'm a global marketing consultant, so I couldn't be everywhere. I bounce between North Carolina and Bermuda, right? Those are my two home bases, but I have clients all over Canada, right? In Australia. I can't be everywhere. They can fly me out. Hey, give me a ticket, I'll be there, right? But I couldn't be everywhere. So one of the challenges before was getting people to understand this, that, my effectiveness, I can do this virtual. I've been doing it for a while, right? And I'm a millennial generation, so I have learned to optimize the virtual world, right? So when COVID hit, that transition made it easier for me, actually, because I was already doing it, optimizing Zoom, right? Google, WhatsApp video, for those of us who WhatsApp. I was optimizing all those platforms. So that was easy. And it was easier to now, I guess, encourage them to deal with me versus somebody who might be sitting next to them or whatever, with the old school paperwork and stuff like that. We can do everything just like you and I are all on here, right? We're virtual. I educate, and this is the same I do for my clients, right? Online. So that was a shift. Actually, COVID has helped my business. Of course, we have some negative things when it comes to COVID. Of course, we lost loved ones and different things. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, for those of us who actually created a business around a purpose, around a need, right? Mm-hmm. It blossomed, because, like I said, people were struggling on the job with things like that. People were getting fired, and people were experiencing being harassed in the job and being forced to do things they didn't want to do. So now, they can start their business, right? Full-time or part-time.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Crystal, how about you? Do you think social media has helped businesses break the bias?
I think when leveraged the right way, it definitely has, because it puts us all in a position where we can be visible. So you can break the bias by leading by example. So really all of us, by doing what we do, we are breaking biases, just because of the box that women, minorities, and things of that nature have been put in for so long. So when we're able to show up as ourselves and use social media to show other people how we're showing up in our businesses, is definitely breaks the bias. And then it also, depending on your business or brand, it also allows you, if you have a space where that is one of your brand values and it's important to you, you can let that shine, but also attract people who are going to resonate more with you because of that, and see what is possible.
Agreed. All right. And I would put this question to all the ladies. How can social media be used to create more connections? Charlene, you want to take that one first?
Well, I think we're all on social media and have probably met, friends or colleagues that we would have never, met any other way. And I think that it's just such a powerful tool to really be able to build relationships no matter where you are in the world. And it can be a very, personal experience that I don't know what any other kind of tool could really replace with that.
Right. I totally agree. All right. And Kennette, how about your thoughts on that last one, which is how can social media be used to create more connections?
So Rhonda, everything that we go through, we can use it in a good way or a bad way, right? One of the great things about social media is the connection part, right? Being able to build your business, being able to network. Also, is the personal thing when it comes around to it, and as far as meeting friends and connecting with them, right? Some of those friends that you connected with, 20 years ago, that you met when they were in high school or college, you're able to connect with them, and guess what? They can become your future business partners or clients, right? So networking is ideal when it comes around to it. So I believe if you use social media correctly in a way that it's supposed to be, right, on the personal aspect as well as in the business aspect, I believe that you build connections automatically. I know most of my clients come from that, from myself being interacting in groups, groups like the women entrepreneur groups, groups like Bermuda groups and North Carolina entrepreneur groups and whatnot. I'm interacting, I'm sharing wisdom with a lot of the people who need it, and we're building connections. They reach out to me, hey Kennette, I saw you on this, whatever. I need you to help me build my website. I'll create a business plan or create my logo, because I'm connecting, I'm interacting. And some things that give away for free, and it turns into a paid client or paid business partner. So again, social media, my favorite, of course, I love Facebook. I was the millennial Facebook generation. In college, I was one of the first users, right? 2004, 2005. It was before anyone else was allowed to be on Facebook, right? It was just for college students. I was the initial user, and I've been on there just ever since. And like I said, it's been used for good or bad. For me, for the most part, it's been definitely a great experience, and definitely able to connect and network to build your business.
I forgot how long that's been. That is a very long time.
It's been a long time.
Wow. Wow, we're dating yourself there and us. Thanks, Kennette. All right, so now we'd like to hit upon anybody, the audience has questions. What I see right now, I'm going to give what we have currently in the chat, and then we'll go and open it to anybody else. So for Crystal, what percentage increase can be expected with an ad from that 5%? I know there are options on ads, so this may not be a simple answer. And this comes from Jamie Hart.
Jamie, that is a great question. So with Facebook ads, I don't have an answer specific to you as an exact percentage, but the way Facebook ads work is that when you are setting up a campaign of any type, when you're choosing your audience, based on your audience, so who you're targeting, and then also your budget, it will tell you the estimated amount of people that you will reach daily. So the short answer is it does depend on your audience targeting, whether you're promoting to your current followers or a broader audience, and even who's in that audience, and then also your budget, because if you're spending, a couple of dollars a day, the answer is going to be different versus someone who may be spending a few hundred or even thousands a day. But if you have a specific campaign that you're looking to run, you can definitely go through and play with that ad set section where you choose the audience and what your budget is, so that you can see what those estimates are and have an idea of how much reach you're going to get.
Excellent. Thank you, Crystal. All right. And we have Patricia is saying, yes, Kennette, I love your focus logo. Very good. And Shondell is saying, yes, she's the real deal. I believe that was who's that for, Shondell? I think that was
Thank
for
you, Shondell. That's
there we go.
That's one of my business partners.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great. All right. And I'd like to open the floor up for anyone else who just has a question that they can just raise your hand or turn your speaker on.
I have a question for Charlene.
Excellent. Wonderful, Lisa. Go right ahead.
So Charlene, I was just curious a little bit more about how you're, marketing out your live streams. I know, whenever I'm going to be, letting my audience know that, hey, I'm going live and things like that, on Facebook, I kind of know how that works, but are you finding that you do some things a little differently with the LinkedIn audience, or can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So generally on Facebook, I notice that when people decide to go live, they don't really announce, they'll just go live. So I don't know if you do pre-schedule them or not. You can do that on Facebook as well. And LinkedIn, it's especially kind of critical that you do schedule them about 7 days out so that enough people can actually see the kind of preview is what is going to be shown to your audience and to your followers. That gives them a chance to actually get a reminder about it, to possibly attend, or to at least be able to, if they hit the reminder and they don't see it, they can, it will show up on their feed a little bit later on. So one of the things is to, if you can 7 days before, pre-schedule the live stream, then you'll notice you'll actually have a lot more views and often quite a few more attendees that way, because they will know when it's going to go live. If you're able to stream, I always stream actually on the same day and the same time. Again, that builds a consistency. So if they know I always stream on, well, actually, now I changed it, Wednesdays and Fridays at 8 a.m. Eastern, then out of habit, they'll start kind of hanging around when they know I'm going to go live. And I tend to go live at that time because that's when most of my audience is actually on the East Coast. And on LinkedIn, especially the most entrepreneurs between 8 and 8:30, that's when they're checking their email and checking their LinkedIn. So there's a very high kind of view rate. So that's another reason why I chose those times. The other thing I also do is with LinkedIn, I don't think you can do that with Facebook, but with LinkedIn, you actually can get the direct link back to the original stream. And so I often will reshare that in email later on down the line, and can get more views that way by actually sharing that link back to the original live stream. So those are 3 ways that you can get more views for your live stream. I hope that answered your question, Lisa.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your question, Lisa. Appreciate it. And let's see, we have a question for Crystal. I know this is your free gift, but can you talk about how you know you're ready to scale with Facebook ads? And that's coming from Karen Johnston.
I'm happy to talk about that. So when it comes to scaling with ads, there's 3 things that I usually focus on with that. One is whether or not you have the budget to actually spend on ads. And the thing about ads is that, especially when you're doing it fresh out the gate, there's no guarantee on a return on investment. So any money that you're putting into ads, whether it's for the actual ad spend, or if you're working with a strategist for that person as well, you just need to make sure that the money you're putting into it is money that you're okay if you go a month or 2 and you don't have a return on that yet, especially while you're figuring out what works. So the first thing is your budget, making sure you have money set aside. The second thing is a proven offer or funnel. So this really ties kind of to the third thing, which is the what. But anything you're running ads to, what most people get confused on with ads is they think by putting money into ads that will get them a sale, or that's going to make them money. The ads are getting you traffic. So wherever you're sending the ads to, like before when I was talking about the what happens next, you just want to make sure that, whatever happens, whatever that next step is, that process works smoothly. So whether that's putting people into a funnel, whether that's some type of sales process, you want to make sure that is working and you're getting those sales and that is working correctly before you start sending more traffic to those places. And then the third thing is really just being clear on, what you want to achieve. And I like to think outside of just promoting products. Generally with my clients, we focus on either visibility and nurturing, lead generation, or doing promoting actual products as well. So within that, you can, pick and choose from those strategies or layer them depending on your budget. But if you just making sure that you understand what you're going to get out of the ad, so that way you'll know for sure in your gut whether or not the investment is worth it.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you for your question, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, ladies, we still have some time. Anybody else have a question for our panelist? I'm just looking right here right now. Okay. Let's see, who do we have on here today? Welcome, Lolly and Deja. I don't think I saw you guys come in. Thank you. All right, so I don't see anything coming in right now. All right, well, let's see. Come on, guys, don't be afraid.
I have another question. If you
Excellent. Go ahead, Karen.
okay, my question is for Kennette. I don't really know how to put this, except I was wondering if you could just say a little bit more about what you do, because it seems like you do so much. Having my hard time wrapping my head around, like the services, and I don't know if you have like an example of a small business that you've helped recently or something, like that, where we could get a little more detail about, your work.
Yes, excellent question. Excellent. So yes, the short answer is I do a lot, and I do it all when it comes down to it. One of my focuses is for services that I don't, before I get into detail, services that I do not offer, I also reach out to other people. For example, I'm not a Facebook ad specialist, right? So I reach out to Crystal and my resources like that, right? For the services, so I market myself as a total business consultant and marketing consultant, right? And that means for this, whether I personally do the service or whether I make sure that you as my client are able to get that help, I take care of it all. So what does that mean? The first step is with me. If you were thinking about launching a business, right? That's the first client. I'll talk about launching, then I talk about existing. If you're thinking about launching a business, a lot of people come to me, hey, can I have this idea, and I'm not sure what's the first step, so what to do it, right? They come to me with a free consultation, right? We can start with that, and we can go ahead and we can map it out. And I'm a very direct person, so I really ask the questions that's really make sure that you are ready to become a business entrepreneur, right? Ready to become. What do you have? Do you have the skills, the passion and stuff? What's your idea? So as a business coach, a lot of people's like, look, now I have 5 different business ideas, and I can narrow it down and say, okay, well, it's 2022. Let's start here. Once we know, Karen, that what the business that they want to do, or if they already come to me knowing that, I start off with strategic marketing and development planning sessions, right? And this could be from, this can take a whole month because it's 6 sessions, or it can take up to 6 months, or for some of my brick and mortar businesses I work with, right? It can take like a whole year or a couple of years to develop and grow that business, to actually launch that business, right? So we actually develop their business model for people who don't know, right? And that's the first step. The reason why this is a good question is because a lot of people say, okay, I have my business plan, Kennette, now do my strategic marketing plan. I'm like, that's the wrong way to launch a business, right? And I know I upset a lot of people when it comes to the business coaches, because that's the wrong way. And for those of us, a lot of times we struggle with that, because the first step is actually doing the strategic marketing and development plan. That is identifying your target market, defining your business model, who are your consumers, what's your pricing strategy, right? How are you going to distribute, right? All that, we get into it. We'll do a whole SWOT analysis as well. That's the first step. And I believe that sometimes, Karen, when a lot of people miss that step, that's why they're in 5 years later in the business, 10 years, unable to scale and reach their dreams, because they have not set that right foundation. So all in all, whether you're a new business owner or existing business owner being there for 5 to 10 years, I make sure you set that right foundation with your entire marketing mix, And I believe that helps a lot of people. And then after that, guess what, Karen? After you do your strategic marketing and development, then we go into your business plan, because now you know exactly what you want to do, how you're going to do it, and now you can have the plan that can go and launch your business, right? That's the way that how I did it. That's how I was taught. And that's how my clients are as successful as they are, because you start with strategic marketing. You do not end with strategic marketing. That's the first step. Development's your first step. And then you put your business plan together. So that's what I do. I help out with all that. And then of course, at the end, if they need a logo, they need a website, if they need business cards, stationery, they need help with social media, I I do it all. And if I don't do it, I reach out to people like Crystal and Charlene who are focused in my network to help do that. So I'm your total business and marketing outsource when it comes around to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen,
Yeah.
for asking. Appreciate it. All right, and we have another question from Lolly Leeson. Lolly, you want to come on and ask?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I had a question about how much it's realistic to, I mean, I've gotten into this, advertising on Facebook, and it can get really expensive. So, I mean, $10 a day, $15 a day. I mean, I have no idea what you would get back from that. I think it's hard to know for a small business, and your threshold for a budget and when you can expect something back from it. So that's my question about the advertising.
For Crystal, yes.
Yes, so that will, and I know I probably sound like I'm saying this over and over, but it will depend on your strategy, because I do have campaigns that I implement for clients where we're only spending about $10 a day. But think about it this way. So depending on what you want to happen with the ads, it's likely going to cost you more money. So if your goal is to get someone to go ahead and buy what you're promoting, it's going to cost you more than if you're just trying to build a relationship and nurture and be visible. And then the leads kind of fall in the middle there. So that's why one of the things when you run ads, and why I mentioned before about that return on investment, your first few months, especially if you've never ran ads before, is to figure out what your benchmarks are, so you can figure out what is a good cost per acquisition for you. And then from there, that's going to help you in the long run with making decisions on what is effective and what is not. So I usually advise, especially if this is something where we are promoting some type of product or sell, $500 a month. But again, it really depends on your business. It depends on what you're promoting. It depends on what it is that you're trying to do. Does that help?
It does help, because when I've done Facebook advertising before, you have no idea what, the backstory of all of this. So having you explain that it depends on what your goals are, I think that does make sense.
Right. I would, if you can start,
but it can get pricey.
Yes, it can get pricey. And that's why I really, and honestly, that's what makes ads so complicated, is the fact that it really isn't, like, there's so many variables involved. But once you at least have your benchmarks, once you have that data, once you know your numbers, it's really going to make it so much easier down the road. And that's why I really advise that ads are a long-term game. So when you do it, do it with the intention of sticking with it for a few months, because that way you have the data, you can figure out what works, and then you can go back and tweak and improve it. So the goal is to, figure out what works, tweak, improve, get the cost down if you can. That is pretty much how ads go, versus, at one point in the beginning, it was kind of sold as you put an ad out there, you're going to spend $1 on the ad and you're going to make $3 back, and it's just great and easy that way. But really, that's just going to help you in the long term, and it's going to help you build a better ad strategy.
Right. Thank you.
Hi, Rhonda, can I add to
Absolutely.
that?
Yes.
So, Lolly, sorry, this is the reason why hiring somebody like Crystal is ideal, right? Because a lot of my clients come to me, Kennette, I don't know, successful. I ran Facebook ads in the past and I don't know how to do it. And my thing is, you can be successful with ads, and you can again, you get with Crystal, she tells you, she'll tell you the strategy and how much you need to spend and whatnot. And I have had success, with clients and with them doing their strategic targeting. So, when you get with people like Crystal, you really need to focus on strategy. My background is definitely focused on making sure clients are, making sure they're strategic in all that they do. So sometimes we want to do it ourselves, or if we're not, that good at doing some things, I tell my clients, please be sure you get with the professionals. That is ideal. I see that a lot as a business coach, where people sometimes we're trying to do that as ourselves, and then we're unsuccessful, and then we give up on that advertising medium, whether it's Facebook ads, whether it's billboards, whether it's mail outs, whether it's whatever it is, email marketing, right? So sometimes when it comes around to it, if you tried it yourself, you want to get with people like Crystal, get with people like Charlene, who are specialists in those areas, right? And do it successfully. I know for Facebook, when it comes down to ads, I've had clients that, could spend as little as $10 and be successful. That's because they had the strategic part behind it, like what Crystal was talking about, right? So it depends on your girl. So you really have to start with her to really figure out that part. I really have to stress that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kennette. I appreciate it. And thank you, Lolly, for the question. Awesome. Thank you for chiming in there, Kennette. That is good info for everyone. Charlene, I have a question on the LinkedIn. How do you, well, I guess it's probably more a question on live streaming, even though we're doing it right now. How do you come up with so much content to do all the time? And just, I know at one point you did, was it a 30-day boot camp where you went on every day for 30 days live? And I know that was difficult, but you did it, and like kudos. But what advice do you have for other people on something like that? Any thoughts?
Yeah. So there's a few ways, actually. Generally, in a live stream, you don't really need as much content as you think. So if you've already written or done anything in Facebook, especially written posts, actually, usually there's a lot there. In written posts, you have to write out every single word, and you would probably even give like a list of 3 tips or something like that. And those are really good for live streams, because generally you could give all 3 tips, but that would make the live stream very packed with quite a lot of information and kind of difficult for people to consume. So for video content, I find even for a 10-minute live stream, you can easily elaborate and talk about 1 tip. So if you've already written a post that has 3 tips, you can take those into 3 different live streams right away. That's very easy to do. The other way that I get a lot of content is just through, I have a community, I have a free community, and people ask me questions. And every time people ask me a question, for me, if they ask me, then probably other people are asking me that question. And that's actually how a lot of the content is created, is actually through just the questions that come up from the community that I hear over and over again. And a few other ways that you can create content is to offer something that's very lightweight and engaging that a person will want. So one of the segments I have is I personally review your LinkedIn headline. That's the little bit of text underneath your name. And a lot of people want feedback on that, because they just not really sure, like, is this resonating with people? And so having a person who, like, I don't even look at it before I go live. I literally just look at it as soon as it's live, and I see, and I give some personal feedback, and then I do a shout out, like, who would like, there's a headline given some personal feedback. And so that also creates a lot more engagement, and it's very interesting, and it's very lightweight in that you don't really have to prepare a lot of content for that, because that's just your expertise. So
that just reminded me that I think that's how I originally found you. I think that was like a year or 2 ago, and you did that for me. That's right.
Oh yeah, I myself. Yeah, every month I have one person, and there's like a big list now.
Yeah, I did forget about that, but that's true. You did do that for me. So how long do you think a live stream needs to be in general to make it? Because you were saying break down your 3 tips into 3 different ones. How long can it be, or should it be?
Well, I don't know what it is for Facebook, but for LinkedIn, there's actually a criteria. It has to actually be between 10 to 15 minutes. That's what LinkedIn Live actually prefers. So they don't like, for example, Instagram and even Facebook, a lot of people do, or even YouTube now has those shorts, right? 30 seconds to like a minute. It actually says on the LinkedIn Live criteria that you're supposed to go live for a minimum of 10 minutes. So if you did shorter video, then it should probably not live, should just be a recorded video that you just upload. And that's the optimal. I find if it's just me talking, like if it's just us, the talking head, 10, 15 minutes is kind of the maximum. People will really, they get bored really easily on social. So any longer, they kind of will phase out. But this is a bit different because, you have a panel with a discussion with many people. So those can be easily 30 minutes to an hour, but I would
Okay.
not speak for an hour by myself.
No, I know it's funny. I just looked over and I saw that Karen had the same question that I just asked. So that was good, because I think that is something on people's minds is like, well, wait, how long should it be? So 10 to 15, I think sounds like a real reasonable amount of time. Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. And Fawn is asking, how do short videos compare to live videos?
I mean, as far as attendance, like, do more people watch the videos versus a live, or are you better off doing the videos because more people will actually watch that?
Well, the live actually shows up as a recording after as well. So the metric is a little bit different. The main difference with the live is you can have people on the call who can actually engage with you right away, just like here, right? You just won't have their video, just have the chat. And so I can answer questions directly on the live. And then once it's done, that live is actually then presented as a recorded video, and you can still track the view rates on that. But whether you say a short, what's the, you know, what outperforms that you would have to actually track the metrics on both for, I don't know, a few months and then see. But there's many other factors that go into it. I mean, it could be the type of content could affect, you know, the view rate and stuff like that. It's not only the length of the video.
Okay. Thank you, Fawn. Any other question? I remuted you because of the sound in the background, but if you have another question, feel free to unmute. All right. Thank you. That was great, Charlene. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's always curious on when you do these things for social media, you know, the rules, how long to do it. Even Crystal, for Facebook ads, like how long should you do a video ad? You know, a minute, 2 minutes, and it depends on the platform a lot of times. But you know, these are the questions, right? We all are not pros and we don't know, and there's so many different things to take into consideration. Kennette, curious, what do you recommend? I know we're talking Facebook and LinkedIn a lot. Do you have a particular platform that you're point your people towards, or the same? What do you do?
Excellent question. And I get that question a lot during my strategic planning sessions, right? And it all comes down to the ideal, which is what Crystal and Charlene have talked about, or they do probably talk to their clients, and you as well, Rhonda. It all comes down to, what are your goals? What are you selling? What is your target demographic, right? Because we all know that certain platforms are for certain demographics, right? My young cousins, you know, under 20 are just not really on Facebook like that. And most of them do not have accounts. They don't have accounts. So I try to get them on Facebook to things like this or whatever. They're like, I don't have an account. Are you on Instagram? You know, Are you on TikTok, right? So it comes down for my clients. We really look at, that's where we start with the foundation, which is your strategic marketing and development. What is your target market, right? If you're my mom's age and older, then, you know, you might want to do, definitely Facebook is for sure. If you're a business, is an entrepreneur base, definitely Charlene's platform, LinkedIn, that's without fail, right? If you're a business owner. And I tell a lot of my clients to be sure they have a LinkedIn profile, update it, make sure it reflects like your resume, you know, and also start a business page. But the biggest thing I would say, Rhonda, is, you know, don't start. I think Charlene touched this earlier. She don't have a TikTok because me either. I'm not TikTok. I have one for my clothing line. I don't really update it that often because I really do not like TikTok. I don't really find it that effective for mine. So when I advise my clients, it really comes down to what platforms are ideal for them based upon what they sell and their target market. It's really no cookie cutter when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. I certainly don't have a TikTok, and my husband doesn't have Facebook, and you hear all the time now that Facebook is definitely like a 40-something and ups platform, where originally it was for college students. So that has really changed over the years. I guess the college student age has followed up, but not stayed with that group. So that makes sense.
Exactly. And guess what? If you have a business that, you know, your product, rather you launch, I have a lot of clients who, you know, they have everything from kids products to middle-aged products to senior products or all of the above, right? So sometimes it's a matter of, well, do I have to use all of them? And I'm like, well, we still need to analyze, because at the same time, you only have certain amount of hours in the day, especially if you're a part-time entrepreneur, right? You can't do everything. So, we work on what are the best channels for you at this time. And then I tell my clients straight up, if you cannot use these channels and you can use them effectively, because it doesn't make sense you having a Facebook page, an Instagram page, TikTok, LinkedIn, and you really don't update it or give the content, right? Because content is marketing, right? So I tell them, if you can't do it yourself, then guess what? You have to invest in that, which means hiring people, that are specialists, like the three of you, to do things on social media, right? Hiring some, if you can't, some people, it even comes down to, logos and stuff. Some people's logos, they come to me and the logos, frankly, just look a hot mess. And I tell them, I don't say it like that, but they don't look very good. And I say, if you're trying to sell Louis Vuitton with a dollar store, I love dollar stores, shout out, but but if you're a Louis Vuitton trying to sell a dollar store brand, it doesn't iron up. So sometimes if anything you learn from me today, you have to invest in order to grow your business. Just like how you want your customers to invest in your services or your products, you have to also invest to make sure that your business is valuable, it's marketable, right? It's of value to the customers. And that means you might have to hire some of us to do that, right? And I just want to put that out there, because a lot of times they come to me, hey, Kennette, I give them a whole marketing plan, Rhonda, and they don't follow it. I'm like, did you start that Facebook page? No, well, I'm not, let me know, because we can hire somebody to do it, and people just don't do that. So please, ladies, if you take anything away from us, please know that you can reach out to us with any questions, comments, and concerns. I guess they can have access to our emails and whatnot.
Yep.
But if you have anything, please feel free to reach out, because my thing is all about making sure that female entrepreneurs, especially, I cover male and female. I don't discriminate when it comes down to that. But my passion is for definitely female entrepreneurs, because oftentimes we don't have the same resources, right, that some of the male have. And that comes down to time. Some moms and stuff, multitasking. You got to take the kids to school. You got to do this. You got to serve your husband. And then you also have to do your business, So sometimes we don't have the time. We don't have the resources to do that. So I make sure that my focus is on realistic and practical, affordable solutions for entrepreneurs. So please make sure you invest in your business. It's definitely crucial.
Thank you. And let's see, I think I have one last question quickly for Charlene. Charlene, if you are mainly a B2C business, is it worth spending time on LinkedIn? And that comes from Karen.
Karen, do you mind if I ask who you're targeting? That would make it easier for me to answer the question for you.
Women. I'm a gym, so women who want to work out.
Oh, okay. A fitness center for women?
Yes.
Only women?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's owns a franchise of Curves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, this is specific for you. So, it would work for you on LinkedIn, because what we would do is we would then target, and I don't know anything about your business besides what you just told me. So this is just me riffing on whatever I can come up with. So for LinkedIn, I would probably look at, it's most likely they have to go to the gym in your geographical area, right? Wherever you're living.
Yes, very
It's not
specific.
online.
No,
Okay.
well, we do have an online program, I should say, also. So it really is kind of widespread, really.
Okay. So on LinkedIn, then who you would probably want to target then are women who want to have a balance of, health, fitness, and business, right? Since you have an online component, you could target women who are work from home entrepreneur moms, because they don't have a lot of time, but they probably still want to put in their fitness that way, and they can do it online through you. You can also on LinkedIn filter through specific geographic areas. So you could filter women entrepreneurs in your geographical area and target those entrepreneurial women who maybe, let's see, what else, what other characteristics they might have. So I mainly went after my own demographic, which is I work from home and I have young children at home. So that's why I went after that one. But essentially trying to identify which of those kind of niches, how many different niches on LinkedIn would be attracted to your service offering. And then that's just a fitness. and then creating content that's going to target and speak to that audience members. I spoke about having to talk to one, and that's, you could talk to, because it's still fitness for, let's say, women, right? So then we could have content that's for 3 very specific types of women, and the content you would produce to that. So I hope that answers the question, and that in your context, yes, it does work. It does not always work, but for you, it actually does. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. But that would also be the pay, you'd have to pay the paid version of LinkedIn, right? Because I don't, you can't do all that filtering, can you? Unless you have.
Yeah, no, there's free. You can filter for free, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just limits as to how many searches, filters you can do per day / per week, month. If you're heavily searching every single day, I think you'll eventually hit a limit. But to be honest, it takes quite a while to hit the limit. And then after that, you would need to pay. But you wouldn't need to always filter. I would only do that for the preliminary research, just like Kennette was saying. And once you kind of know who your audience, who you're going to speak to, then you can start making content already for that particular niche. So it's more of a early research kind of stage, market research. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're on mute, Rhonda.
There I go, trying to be good about being quiet again. All right. What I was saying is I want to let everybody know that they can expect, everybody who has attended the event can expect to receive an email from me, Rhonda at wennorthshore.com, with their free gift and offers from our panelists today. And you'll be able to watch the replay on the website as well, wennorthshore.com, and you'll see it on Facebook. They always put up a replay as well. So on behalf of our speakers and the Women Entrepreneurs Network members, I want to thank you for attending today and participating. We hope to see you again at one of our other workshops and networking events. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and cheers to everyone's business success. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, ladies. You did a wonderful job, and I really, really appreciate you coming here this time of night, especially for Charlene and Kennette, who's coming from Germany and Bermuda. And Virginia. We really did hit the gamut today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Rhonda.
it.